Have you ever heard a teenager mutter, "I'm getting the grades, I'm winning the games, but why does any of it matter?" That little sentence is like a flashlight into a bigger question. How do teens hang on to a sense of purpose when life keeps shifting under their feet? Today we're going to poke around in that space between achievement and meaning and see how a steady purpose can quietly reroute a young person's future. First, what's actually wobbling? Total lack of motivation, it's the on-again, off-again flicker. One week they're all in on climate action, the next week they blush at the very thought of last week's speech. Sound familiar? Adults often jump to the classic question, "So, what's your passion?" As if naming one magic passion will lock the compass forever. But researchers say a different yardstick matters more. How stable does that drive feel from day to day? Across classrooms, sports fields, and late-night group chats, some teens carry what I call a quiet through line. Sure, moods swing and interests shift, yet an invisible thread ties their choices together. Others describe their motivation like a playlist on shuffle, fireworks one day, static the next. Here's where the science gets interesting. Instead of taking one survey a semester, psychologists now check in with teens every single day, almost like tracking weather patterns. And the real red flag isn't an occasional thunderstorm of doubt, it's wild temperature swings. Wednesday, I'm sketching plans for my future nonprofit. Saturday, forget it, none of this matters. That emotional whiplash does more than confuse teachers and parents. It quietly shapes mood, friendships, even physical health. Zoom in on those daily journals, and one question predicts a lot. Did what you did today feel connected to something that matters to you? Teens who answer that question consistently, even if the answer is a moderate, "yeah, kind of," fare better than teens who bounce from "absolutely" to "nope, not at all." Dr. Anthony Burrow at Cornell saw exactly that. Adolescents with smaller day-to-day swings scored higher on self-respect, recovered faster after tough days, and were less rattled by academic or social setbacks. Two friends might both shout, "Today was meaningful," after a big win. Watch them next week when plans fall apart. One dips a little, the other nosedives. Over months, those micro-drops add up. That inner steadiness shows up in programs like Project Wayfinder, too. Instead of handing students a prefab life plan, Wayfinder has them notice patterns in what already lights them up, run tiny experiments, then reflect. After one semester, schools report lower anxiety and more willingness to take on hard classes or stick with long projects. Outward behavior, showing up for practice, finishing a portfolio, seems to ride on that inner through line that doesn't vanish the moment things get awkward. Long-term studies back this up. College students who can name a direction that matters and return to it even when they change majors are more likely to graduate. Brain imaging paints an even cooler picture. Teens with a stable why show less alarm in regions linked to social pain when they're left out or criticized. It still stings, but it doesn't rewrite their entire story. So, what do we do with all this evidence? Here's the key point. Instead of pressuring teens to chase the biggest, flashiest goal, it helps to guide them toward noticing and gently stabilizing the threads already woven through their days. Think causes they revisit, people they keep showing up for, skills they practice when no one's grading. Let me paint two quick portraits. Maya bursts into the new school year signing up for everything: robotics, debate, volunteering, 3 Discord servers. By October, she's dropped most of them, not sure what still fits. Jordan starts smaller and tapes a note inside a notebook. Help younger students. Learn how things work. Protect the environment. When new opportunities pop up, tutoring, an engineering elective, a park cleanup, Jordan holds them against that note. It's flexible. Interests evolve. But each yes or no gets weighed against something that doesn't hit reset every Sunday night. How can adults encourage that kind of inner note? Try questions that look backward as well as forward. For example, what have you kept coming back to this semester? Or, which project felt worth finishing even when it got annoying? Over time, spotting those patterns helps teens pick classes, jobs, even friendships that line up with who they're becoming, not just how they feel today. Another simple tool is the weekly two-step playlist check. 1. What felt worth the effort this week? 2. Where did I like the way I showed up? Repeat that tiny audit every Sunday and you're basically strength training a purpose muscle. Steadier purpose also changes how teens face crossroads, choosing a first job, pushing back on peer pressure, deciding when it's time to quit. It nudges them toward places and people that fit, the way a magnet finds north. The point isn't certainty, it's enough continuity that each new choice feels less like a wild guess and more like a logical next step. Alright, time for a quick personal experiment. Before next week rolls around, ask yourself, or invite the teen in your life to ask, 3 questions. 1. When did I feel most alive or proud in the last year? In class, online, or with friends, and what does that say about what really matters to me? 2. Looking at the coming week, which 1 or 2 activities clearly move me toward that purpose? Helping others, mastering a skill, contributing to a cause, and which ones quietly pull me away? 3. Picture a real situation you're likely to face. A tough class, an awkward lunch, a late-night slump. How would someone with my hoped-for sense of purpose choose to respond in that moment? Let that sink in for a second. So here's what we covered today. 1. Purpose isn't about picking one perfect passion. It's about keeping the internal compass steady from day to day. 2. Daily swings, not rare storms, predict how teens handle stress, setbacks, and even social pain. 3. Programs and studies, from Project Wayfinder to Dr. Burrow's research, show that noticing and stabilizing existing threads boosts resilience, completion rates, and well-being. 4. Adults can help by asking backward-looking questions, encouraging tiny weekly check-ins, and valuing consistency over fireworks. 5. And finally, a stable sense of purpose turns big life choices into next steps instead of wild guesses. If you're a teen, you now have a 3-question toolkit to start testing your own through line this week. If you're a parent or educator, you've got new questions to swap in for, what's your passion? Either way, remember this. A steady purpose isn't a prize you win, it's more like a melody you keep returning to. Help a young person hear that tune, and they'll have something to hum through every plot twist life throws their way. Thanks for listening. Keep following that thread, and I'll see you next time.